The Denver Nuggets taking on the Phoenix Suns tonight, trying to get their seventh straight win. This is the game they can continue to establish themselves at the top of the Western Conference. But let's talk about how they have gotten to this point, how good the Denver Nuggets have been playing, and what they'll need to get done tonight to beat the Phoenix Suns. Let's get it. It's Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swiper. This is your team every day. Thank y'all for coming today. Thank y'all for being here with us. We got this chat is bumping as always. What's going on, everybody? Shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody that's already been in here today. The Denver Nuggets are taking on the Phoenix Suns tonight, and they have been taking care of business on the way, y'all. Right now, man, the Nuggets are arguably playing maybe their best or second best basketball of the season. We talked about this many times. The Nuggets had a streak where they went 14-4 this year. But I would say relative to the competition, man, this is a really good opportunity for the Denver Nuggets. And I said this last week, but starting with that Miami Heat game, the Nuggets are playing 6 of their next 9 games from that point on national television. I'm not talking about NBA TV. I'm talking about TNT and ABC and ESPN. And tonight, the Denver Nuggets are taking on the Phoenix Suns on TNT, y'all. But let's talk about how we got to this point. Why the Nuggets are playing so well, why they've been so dominant. And y'all, if you look, so y'all know I like to track all the information. So if you look at how well the Nuggets have played, and you look at all the lineup data about the team, so the starters, y'all, since they came back from All-Star break, the Jamal Murray, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic lineup. That lineup has played 4 games. They played 54 minutes together. They have a 128.6 offensive rating, a 128.6 offensive rating, and an 83.3 defensive rating for a plus 45.2 net rating, a plus 45.2 net rating, and they have a 73.7% assist percentage, y'all, with a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. They have been absolutely dominating. They have a 65.5 true shooting as well. And again, they have been playing versus some decent teams. And even this last game, obviously, they beat the Los Angeles Lakers with no KCP. But even still, the level that they've been able to get to as of late, man, it's really been special. And in particular, that closing lineup that the Denver Nuggets had, that closing lineup, when they put Justin Holiday in the spot for KCP, they put 11 minutes together. They had a 155 offensive rating for a plus 25.6. So what I love about this moment and what I love about what the Denver Nuggets are doing is that ever since the All-Star break, Nikola Jokic sends that text out, KCP talks about it, everybody's kind of getting into the right headspace. And a lot of this, too, is the fact that the Nuggets are they're healthy. Obviously, KCP and then Braxton Key missed the last game because of some personal reason. Jamal Murray, he rolled his ankle a little bit, but thankfully they've been able to get healthy really for one of the first stretches of the season so far. And going into the Suns game, they have just been able to get a lot of continuity, a lot of communication, and the way that they've been able to play together has really just made a world of a difference. And you could just tell in Justin Holiday's comments, you can see a video dropping from DNVR. Ryan Blackburn was also there from Mile High Sports. But Justin Holiday, even at practice the other day, he talked about the differences, and he just talked about how this team, being on this Denver Nuggets team, gave him hope in the NBA again. Because this team is playing for something, and they're playing the right way. And again, you could even see that versus the Lakers. Even without KCP, one of the best defenders in the league, and in my estimation, should be in serious consideration for one of the all-defensive teams, the way that they have just been able to insert and have a player come in, Christian Brown, Justin Holiday, or whoever, and been able to build around it and allow for that player to flourish, man, it's just really special, y'all. And I think it's just those small type of things that make teams what they are, that make teams great. And I think it starts obviously with your best players and Jokic and Murray. It starts with their communication, and it starts with instilling belief. And another great thing, y'all, Michael Porter Jr., he talked about this. He talked about the fact that he got to the Denver Nuggets about 3 years after Nikola Jokic did, when he was asked about the chemistry between him and Jamal Murray. And he just says it takes his time. Sometimes those things just take time. Good things take their time. And even the chemistry that MPJ and Murray, that they've been able to develop, man, it's really special. And I think all that stuff just continues to add into the fact as to why the Nuggets have just been so freaking good. They are just fully thought in to what everybody on the team is supposed to be doing. And it just makes a world of a difference for the team as a whole. But obviously, when you have the best player in the world, it obviously helps out a lot. Just because when you're able to just say, hey, we need a bucket, we need a playmaker pass, we need a defensive stop, they've been able to point to Jokic in order to get that. And y'all, since the All-Star break, y'all, Jokic is averaging 24.8 points a game, 14.2 rebounds a game, and 11.7 assists per game, 1.8 steals per game, and a block per game. And he's shooting 62% from the field, just 23.5% from three, not shooting the three ball well, but he's 91.3% from the free throw line. Now, on just 23 attempts, which is 3.8 free throw attempts a game, which is still crazy. But y'all, in 6 games, he's a plus 132. A plus 132. That's just insane, man. And I think this just speaks to they played versus Miami and Bam Adebayo, won those minutes. Played versus Anthony Davis, won those minutes. They beat the Sacramento Kings. They beat Golden State when Golden State had won 9 of their last 2 games. And they have been playing really well through the month of February. And they went in there and they were able to beat them as well. And then obviously they took care of business versus Portland and versus Washington. But this all just continues just to talk about, like I said, there's just a chemistry that they've been able to develop. And Nikola Jokic is obviously the hub of that. But, you know, Michael Porter Jr. also deserves his flowers. Michael Porter Jr. in the last 6 games, y'all, listen to this. MPJ is averaging 22.3 points a game, 9.3 rebounds, 2 assists, but he's shooting 56.5% from the field. He's shooting 43% from 3 on 7 attempts a game, and he's shooting 100% from the free throw line. 56, 43, 100 splits since the All-Star break. And he even talked about this, just needed a little bit of rest, needed to get his body right. As he said, needed to get a little bit of sun. And he's a plus 75 in the minutes that he's played. And y'all got to remember, Michael Porter Jr., he's been anchoring with Jamal Murray, that second unit. He's been anchoring that second unit in order to be able to give them a more of a scoring punch with Jamal Murray. And I think that's really going to be one of the playoff solves as well, is how do Murray and how do MPJ play together? That's going to allow for them to flourish and to be the very best version of themselves, y'all. But again, man, that Laker game is really important for me, and I think should stand out for Nuggets fans because you just saw yet another opportunity for them where they get into a late game situation, and it's just like clockwork that they're able to get the job done. And basically from the point where Nikola Jokic entered the game with like 7 minutes and 40 seconds left, they went on like a 25-13 run. Like a 25-13 run and just absolutely took it to the Lakers. And I think one of the things that they're continuing to figure out, and what I love about what Michael Malone has done this year, is that even when they're missing starters, he's been able to find ways to get some of the younger players, Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, some of the veteran players, and Justin Holiday, get them in the rotation in the closing minutes. That way they can continue to learn how to operate the way they need to. And Rob Shelton, I agree. I think this is going to be the playoff lineup. Now, in this lineup in particular, they might not leave MPJ out there because they might want to really tag MPJ with Nikola Jokic, depending on the level of competition they're playing, because they just want to give them as much of a scoring output as possible. But even the fact that the MPJ and Jokic two-man game has been developing, running those DHOs, the dribble handoff either to the three-point line or in the nail section, and even his off-ball scoring, all of it, man, I just think the Nuggets are kind of peaking at the right time. But let's talk about this on the other side a little bit, because the Nuggets have a real chance to get their 7th straight win But let's talk about the kind of this little window they have and some of the narrative that they can set if they take care of business. We'll be right back for more at Locked On Nuggets. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Y'all, sometimes when you're going through things in life, there's always a lot that we have to deal with, a lot we have to process, big or small. Certain things can really start to get to us, but it's important that we let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased on our lives. So today, I want to say how I really feel about something, because you might even be thinking the same thing. And right now, obviously for a lot of us, tax season, there's a lot of decisions to be made. Some of us have to pay some money back because of a side business or a job we have. Some of us are moving on to different portions of our career. Some relationships are flourishing. Some things aren't going as well. And what I've learned about, especially relationships, is that even when things are going well, sometimes you have an imposter syndrome. And you feel that even if things are going well with this person, do I actually deserve this? Do I deserve the best from this person? Do I deserve the best for myself? And people can sabotage their own situation because they're just not confident that what's for them is really for them and that is what's best for them. And I think therapy is really important here because it can be different for all of us. And things are bigger than sports. These issues we face are bigger than our favorite sports team. And so if you feel like you want to just get centered and you want more assistance to be the best version and healthiest version of yourself, hey, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. So visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnba and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. We'll be right back here at Locked On Nuggets. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Wiper. So glad that you're here with us today. Make sure if you're listening to us on Apple iTunes, give us a 5-star review. That really helps us out with the show. And then we also can get more and more people watching and listening to Locked On Nuggets. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Let people know where you like getting some of your favorite Denver Nuggets content this season. Y'all, let's get it. So what's at stake for the Denver Nuggets? What's at stake? So if you open up your Pokédex for Pokemon fans and you look at the upcoming schedule for the Nuggets have the Suns tonight. The Suns, they're battling with the Sacramento Kings right now in the standing. And the Suns are currently sitting at the 6th seed. They're a half game above the Kings, and they're a game out of 5th place. And currently right now, the Nuggets and Suns are slated to play each other if the playoff were to start today. And for the Nuggets on their end, they are currently a half game out of first, and they could potentially tie the Timberwolves today for first if they're able to win tonight's game. But if you look at the upcoming schedule for the Nuggets have the Suns. On Thursday, the Nuggets have the Celtics. The Nuggets then have the Jazz. They then have the Raptors. And then they have the Heat in Miami on the 13th. They got the Spurs, Victor Wembanyama show again in San Antonio on the 15th. They have the Mavericks, and then they got the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the Suns, Celtics, Jazz, Raptors, Heat, Spurs, Mavericks, Timberwolves game. The next 8 games are going to do a lot for the Nuggets narrative for the rest of the season. And in particular, y'all, I know that some people love this discussion, some people don't. But for the MVP discussion, this is a huge week. Now, Jokic has already been kind of captivating a lot of odds because they got that win versus the Heat. He played a dominant defensive game, even though he only had 18 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists. Then versus the Lakers, he puts up 35 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds. And in that game, he was able to dominate what many people consider to be the best defender in the NBA, and he was a plus 16 in that game as well. And so tonight, Yusuf Nurkic in the loss they just had to the Thunder had 31 rebounds. And the Suns rather, they actually have been playing fairly well over the last couple of weeks because they have turned up their defense. They're communicating a lot better than what they used to, and they're just playing pretty good basketball. And if you look at their schedule, the Suns, beat the Wizards, the Bucks, the Jazz, lost to the Warriors 3-1. They beat the Kings and the Pistons 5-1. Then they lost to the Mavericks and the Rockets 5-3, and then they beat the Lakers and Rockets, and that would put them at 7-3. And they lost to the Rockets and Thunder in back-to-back games, which puts them again at 7-5. So they had a little peak where they were cooking, and then they had this kind of drop off as of late. So they're going to be battling. We're going to talk about more of that game in particular on the other side, but for the Nuggets, man, I think that this is a really important moment because especially for the Suns and Celtics game, this is where you really solidify yourself on the narrative end. And I think the narrative for the Nuggets is kind of changing around the league. Because the Boston Celtics just were up 44 points to the Warriors at half in Boston, because they're on pace to win like 65, 66 games this year. And then on top of that, they're just cooking. They look like the best team in the regular season in basketball. And I think a lot of people, what's happening right now is people feel like the only real competition that they're going to have this year on the Boston Celtics end is going to be for the Nuggets. And depending on where you fall, and now obviously this is a Nuggets podcast and a Nuggets show, but I think that we're kind of coming to a collide at this point. There's going to be a collide on Thursday with this game, but there's also going to be, hopefully, and potentially a collide come NBA Finals time. So all of the stuff this week is important for the narrative. But on top of that, more importantly, I think than anything else, is for their own confidence. And it's not that the Nuggets are not confident. But remember, this last game, Michael Porter Jr. just scored 25 points, and he had 10 rebounds and 4 assists. He was 10 of 10 from the field, 5 of 5 from 3. He's the only player to score 25 points, get 10 rebounds, and also go 10 of 10 from the field with 5 of 5 from 3 in NBA history. He literally had one of the most prolific shooting games of all time. And so Porter is being able to get his confidence back up to this degree. And again, you saw Jamal. And I think he was 11 23 in that game. And then he had 11 assists and 24 points versus the LA Lakers. And his ability to stagger and play versus these teams with the bench is really important. Tonight he can have another great opportunity to do that. Now, the thing is I know that like on the season, the Nuggets aren't necessarily like pushing for the first seed. But again, 56 win pace that they're on right now. They're at a 60 win pace right now with Jamal Murray on the court. I want to say they're 33-12 this year when Jamal Murray plays. And that's not even including the 2 games that he started and then didn't finish the game versus the Jazz and then versus the Heat this year. So there's a lot on the line. And I think that the Nuggets can continue to capture momentum. And most importantly, as I brought up, it's their defense that's going to be the biggest deal. So if you look around the league right now, since the All-Star break, the Denver Nuggets are 6-0. As a team, they're a plus 14.6 in a net rating column, a plus 14.6. Since the All-Star break, the Nuggets have the 4th best defense in the NBA behind the Celtics, the Magic, and the Bucks. And on top of that, the Nuggets have the 2nd-ranked offense in the NBA behind the Celtics. The Celtics especially got a crazy boom after that Warriors game. The Celtics have a 132.2 offensive rating and a 106 defensive rating, and the Nuggets have a 120.8 offensive rating and a 106.2 defensive rating for a plus 14.6. And then the Milwaukee Bucks, the Bucks are also 6-0. They're also 6-0, and they have a 120 offensive rating and a 102 defensive rating as well with a plus 17.6 net rating. So there are some teams out of the break, and it's those 3 teams, and I would say those are 3 of your contenders in the league that are really starting to put it together. And I think this is just how you want to continue to build steps. The Nuggets didn't want to peak in December. They didn't want to peak in January. And it's not even necessarily they want to peak now. But a lot of this is just how do you continue to build healthy habits? Healthy habits in your communication, healthy habits in being healthy. And also to know that when you need to turn it on, that you can turn it on for significant stretches at a time. And again, similar to last year, y'all remember the Nuggets went 10-1 over a 11-game stretch in the NBA playoff. Remember, after they went down, they tied 2-2 versus the Phoenix Suns. They went 2-0 versus the Suns, and then 4-0 versus the Lakers, and then they went 4-1 versus the Miami Heat. And they have that kind of switch in them, and kind of right now, you're seeing them do it in a regular season format, not to the same degree at the playoffs, obviously. So we want to continue to see them win and continue to get these kind of victories under their belt. So we're going to talk about this Phoenix Suns game, why this could be a really interesting spot for the Denver Nuggets and why this can be such a nice little turning point, again, a continual turning point for the rest of this nice little streak we have going on. So we'll be right back. Talk about that, all that, and more at Locked On Nuggets. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Now, here's the thing, y'all. Make sure y'all tap in, go to FanDuel. You can get future bets for MVP odds with Nikola Jokic, future bets on title odds with the Denver Nuggets or the Boston Celtics or any other team. Make sure y'all tap into FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. We'll be right back here on Locked On Nuggets. We are back here at Locked On Nuggets. Again, this is your host, Swiper. Thank y'all so much for being here today. Thank y'all so much for just being here and talking NBA hoops, man. I don't take this for granted at all. I don't take you all for granted at all. I know that we have been building and building and building up to this point. We have a great family here at Locked On, man, and this is going to be a really, really good game tonight versus the Phoenix Suns. So let's tap into it, y'all. So the Phoenix Suns tonight, more than likely are going to be without, looks like Devin Booker could potentially still be out this game. The Nuggets are currently, if you look at the FanDuel line, the spread for the game, the Nuggets are a -8.5. A -8.5 tonight. That seems to indicate that Devin Booker is indeed not going to be there tonight. Josh Okogie looks like he's going to be a game-time decision, Nasir Little game-time decision. But right now, KCP and Braxton Key, it looks as if all of those players are going to be back on the court tonight for the Denver Nuggets. Obviously, we'll see what happens with that, but they all did return to practice. Tonight's going to be interesting, man. A -8.5 point favorite. The Nuggets are 42-19 on the year. The Phoenix Suns are 35-26 on the year. And the Suns are currently 15-13 on the road. The Nuggets are 24-5 at home. And that record could even be better than what it is. The Suns are 5-5 in their last 10. Nuggets are 7-3, obviously because of that 3-game losing streak they had right before the All-Star break. So this is going to be a really interesting point because I think the Suns, man, they're going to come out really wanting it. We already know when Yusuf Nurkic matches up versus Nikola Jokic, he wants to get the smoke. He wants to smoke because for Nurkic, man, I think he takes pride in that Balkan matchup that they have going on during the year. And I think there's just going to be a lot of hand fighting, a lot of physicality today. And again, the Suns, they've been a lot better defensively as of late. On the season, by the way, Kevin Durant, he's averaging 27.8 points a game, 6.7 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 1.3 blocks a game. He's shooting 52.7% from the field, and he's shooting 42% from three on 5.1 attempts a game, and 85.6% from the free throw line. And he's also a plus 199 on the year. Man, Kevin Durant's having an incredible season, man. And I know a lot of people don't have him anywhere near the MVP conversation just because of where the Phoenix Suns have been slotted, but he's actually been really good, man. He's been dominant. And again, he's played 54 games this year. Devin Booker's played 50 games. Devin Booker, again, out 27.5, 4.6, 6.8 assists a game. And then Bradley Beal, averaging 18.3 points a game this year, shooting 37% from three, and 77.8% from the free throw line. But then, y'all, is Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen is shooting 46% from three on 5.4 attempts a game. And then you have Eric Gordon shooting 39% from three on 6.4 attempts a game. And then Royce O'Neal has played 9 games with the Phoenix Suns. He's shooting 40% from three on 6.7 attempts per game so far on 10 points a game. as well. Bobo's also been in the rotation here and there a little bit. So their main rotation is probably going to be O'Neal, Jokic, Gordon, Grayson, Bradley, Kevin Durant, and then maybe Drew Eubanks and Bol if they're stabilizing some of their minutes that they're going to get off of the bench. Now, the thing about this, and what's the most important about this, is that we're in a situation now, shout out to you, I really appreciate that. We're in a situation now where we're looking at an opportunity for the Denver Nuggets to really take it to over under. I'm going to take the under. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. That was insane, man. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. That was just nasty. But the Nuggets are in a situation now, man, where they can continue to create some room with them in the rest of the Western Conference. And I don't think that the Nuggets play to prove a point to anyone else other than themselves, based on everything that we got coming out of the camp. But tonight, you're potentially going to be in a matchup with the Phoenix Suns. And so why you don't want to show all of your card, and again, if Devin Booker's not going to be there, this will still be a really good opportunity for them to really take their hand at slowing down this Phoenix Suns offense, and in particular, making it difficult for Kevin Durant. And again, Kevin Durant, y'all, since the All-Star break, he's averaging 24.5 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. And Kevin Durant shooting 44.4% from the field, 26% from three, and 75.6% from the free throw line. And they beat, in that stretch, he was a plus versus the Houston Rockets. He was a +2 versus the Lakers, and he was a +2 versus Houston. But he's been a minus versus Dallas, a minus versus Houston, and a minus versus OKC, a -9 in the last game that they played. So, again, Durant hasn't been his atypical self, but he's also been being hounded defensively. And especially if you go back and watch that OKC game, they were down a lot. And then they stormed back into the game, and OKC was able to close the door. But they made it really difficult for Kevin. And Kevin, in that game, he shot 6 of 15 from the field. And then Houston made him shoot 8 of 19 from the field. So if I'm the Denver Nuggets, KCP, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, and Peyton Watson. This is the matchup. This is another one of those matchups. Obviously, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic. Those are kind of like the epitome wing matchup that the Denver Nuggets have really built their roster for. They have built their roster to be able to play versus these teams and versus these like wing style players that play, make, and score. And so I really do think, man, this is going to be a very interesting game. And I think this is a game that the Denver Nuggets can continue to create some separation on the rest of the league. But the Denver Nuggets are playing at home. The Suns are going to come out fighting. They're going to come out battling. But if I had to put a guess on the score tonight, I'm going to say the Denver Nuggets win 116 to 1. Nah, probably higher than that. Probably 118 to 111. I'm going to say the Denver Nuggets win 118 to 111. I think that this is going to be a higher scoring game. The last time these two teams played, Jokic didn't have the best shooting game that he's had this year. Let me pull up these numbers. The Nuggets won 119-111 last game, and this was in Phoenix. And Phoenix that game, they had Durant, they had Nurkic, they had Grayson, they had no Bradley Beal that game. Nuggets won 119-111. Jokic that game had 21 points, just 5 rebounds on 9 of 18. He was 9 of 15 from 2, but he had 16 assists in that game. Michael Porter Jr. had 19, 10, and 4. The Denver Nuggets didn't have Jamal Murray in that game. I remember that. So this will be the first time that Jamal Murray is going to be playing versus the Phoenix Suns this season. Reggie Jackson, though, that game had 20 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists on 8 of 11 from the field and 3 of 4 from 3. Remember, early season Reggie Jackson, man, which is absolutely cooking. Reggie Jackson, it was an even that game. Justin Holiday also got the start. That's right. So the Denver Nuggets, they didn't play them with Jamal Murray or KCP that game. So it was Justin Holiday and Reggie Jackson in place for Jamal Murray and for KCP, and then no Booker, no Beal. So really it was Jokic versus KD, and KD that game had 30 points and 11 assists, but he was 8 of 25 from the field for a -6. And then Yusuf Nurkic that game had 31 points and 6 rebounds on 13 of 22, and he was 2 of 6 from 3. So you're definitely going to get some Nurkic three-point opportunities this game just because Nikola Jokic is going to be sagging off of him. But I think 118, 111 is my final score prediction. What do y'all think? Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. How do y'all think this game is going to go? But y'all, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. This is your host, Wiper. This is Locked On Nuggets. You're going to have World's Finest tomorrow with Adam and Matt Moore. And then I will be back with you on Thursday and then Matt and I on Friday. Y'all know what time it is. I will see y'all on the other side.